Welcome to another episode of Harbor Rock Wealth Management's podcast series, Life, Health, and Wealth, where we discuss financially driven topics and how they relate to our financial lifestyles. He's Ruben Smith. I'm Jimmy Luster, not James.
Not James.
You don't know who James is.
No, who's that?
Yeah, I don't know. My parents never even called me James. But we have a really cool, special guest, my former sister-in-law, and just a great friend always, still a friend of the family, Lee Lux.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
This is a very special
Very
moment
happy
for
to
me.
have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Jackie's first visit to the office.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, I think your first words were, I can't believe you're doing this, Jim. Not really. In a good way.
Yes.
In a good way. We've known each other a long time, folks.
Oh, long time.
Long time.
Long
time. Your family was like my second family. I think I met you when you were like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
I was a little whippersnapper.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so for those of you out there, I was married to Jackie's sister, Chrissy, for, I don't know, almost 9 years. But we had known each other since we were 15 years old. She sat behind me in homeroom, So, and she was a great friend of mine and, a past life that I have very fond memories of. So it's really good to see you. It was like riding a bike when you pulled up today.
Oh, I agree.
And we've only seen each other a couple times in the last 9 years or 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but it feels like I just saw you yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get into, you still work pretty closely with my dad and have a great friendship going with him. And we'll dive into some of that today. It's going to be fun kind of unpacking what's been going on in your life. And again, to remind our viewers that I overheard you speaking to Jackie about this. It's not all, this show is not about stocks and bonds and it never has been and it will remain that way, but it's about getting into other people's stories.
Right.
And everyone that sits in that seat has a story. And a lot of people say, I don't really have anything to talk about. Like, what's interesting about my life that people will want to hear about? Everyone has stories. And we're here to find out a little bit more about them.
As a dad of 3 daughters, I'm very excited that you're here. I'm gonna make them watch the show because I think you're gonna be an inspiration. So
my gosh,
it's a cool story.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny too. A couple days ago, my dad, I was over there. So I'm his barber, right? So I give him a fresh chop every couple weeks, make sure he's looking fresh for, the people that come over and deliver communion to him on Sundays and visitors like you that come over and have lunch. He's got to look good. And I had set him up on YouTube when we first started this because he's like, oh, man, I watched the first couple you did, and you guys are really good, and that's interesting. I'm like, oh, thanks. We're enjoying it. Well, I was over there the other night, and he hadn't mentioned it in a while, and I had asked him if, over the past couple of months, Dad, did you catch our newest show? And he's like, oh, I keep meaning to get on there. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he found out that you were going to be a guest. And I'm over there a couple of days ago. And before I even set up for the haircut or we order food or whatever we're going to do for the hang, he's all, hey, make sure you show me that YouTube thing again because I really want to watch the show with Jackie.
Very
Hey,
cool.
whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Very good.
So pretty cool. So Jackie is from Ohio. Her family, so a big Hungarian contingency in Ohio, I found out over the years of visiting there. And I know you still have family back there. You were born there. So you were born in...
I was born in Cleveland,
you were born
Ohio.
In Cleveland?
Yep.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
All right.
the great
All
city
right,
of
cool.
Cleveland.
Okay. So, Ohio, home of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those are great. Let's talk about things that maybe aren't quite Hall of Fame. So,
Where are you going with this?
This isn't a knock. I'll retract.
Can I try and
Yes.
guess what you're
No,
gonna say?
Let's hear what you have.
Okay, so I know you do stats
Yeah.
and all this stuff. This isn't necessarily a stat, but it is kind of. The Ohio River is the only body of water to catch on fire
Oh,
in Ohio.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh, and that's in the movie Major League. Burn on, Big River. Burn on. Okay.
So we're known for that.
That's the Cuyahoga? Is it the
Ohio River.
It is the Ohio.
Ohio
I don't know.
River, I
Okay,
believe.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
That's good.
yeah.
So it was a flaming hot mess at one point.
It was literally on
Literally.
fire.
Yeah.
And most people wonder, how does water
burn. Yeah.
catch on fire?
Yeah.
But I guess there was just so much
Stuff
trash
in the water.
and yeah,
Well, it's big.
and all of
Big
whatever grows in-
commercial, a lot of commercial stuff around there.
A lot
in
of
Cleveland.
industry, yeah.
Industry, yeah. So it's illegal to fish for whales on Sundays in Ohio. Did you know that?
Is there
No.
whales in Ohio?
It's actually a law in Ohio, but there's nowhere to do it. So that's kind of a
Is there whales in Ohio?
no.
I didn't
No.
think so. That's
You
a
didn't
great
know that
law,
one.
though.
No, that's hilarious.
Your family's going to love that one.
I can't wait to tell
This-
my friends back in
This
Ohio.
one's good. So it's illegal to have more than 5 women living in a home in Ohio.
Get out of here.
I swear, I just read that.
It's illegal.
I read it, so it's true.
It's illegal to have more than 5.
It's illegal to have more than
women.
5 women living in a home.
Women or females?
Yeah, right.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm going down. Yeah, no.
So I thought that was weird. And then the last one, I could have gone. There was like 45 of these.
Okay.
Akron was the first city to use police cars.
Cool.
Thought that was cool. Leading into
Super cool.
Ties into the
Wow.
profession.
Yeah.
I love it.
I went
So
to high school in Akron, so
yeah, I remember that little vegan place we went to a couple times
yes,
before we'd get on the plane.
that's right, in downtown
That,
Akron.
that place was cool.
It was cool.
Progressive. They were doing a lot of building and modernizing, and
Yes.
which I thought was neat.
Yeah.
All right.
So the first time you met me, let's roll into
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I think it was you who peeked from down the way in the living room, and you were with your dad. And I was there to pick up Chrissy. We were going to go to an Angel game, and I guess it was like kind of our first date ish.
Yeah.
We'd hung out a couple times, school functions, and this was the first time I was like picking her up, and it was my senior summer. So we just graduated. Halos are in full effect, the Angels, and I said, "Hey, you want to go to a baseball game with me?" Sure. I pull up in my '65 Mustang, which is not a bad thing. That's cool.
It was a beautiful car.
But, Dad built that for me, lucky to have that. And I pull up, and I had just gotten back from a camping trip, end of the year camping trip with Lee, a couple of the other boys, Justin, and I dyed my hair blue. Like the
Appropriate.
color of this to celebrate, I guess. I don't know what the other times might.
Was it like this blue?
It was
The chair?
electric blue. It was like lagoon blue,
Blue.
like a little lighter than this. So I show up, and we were also thinking about, I wonder what I was wearing. I had quite a style back then. So I think I might have been wearing some Jinko jeans that were massive. A little, no better word than for it is a wife beater t-shirt underneath the tank top, but it's the little ribbed tank top,
Yes.
probably with like maybe a bowling shirt that like Charlie Sheen would wear on 2.5 Men.
Gosh.
I got this
yes.
vision. Yeah. And,
And
you had blue hair.
my blue hair, probably some Silver Star rings and
Silver
necklace.
Star.
Remember
Oh
Silver Star?
How about,
my
I want to say like some white or green black fly sunglasses?
Totally. Some blue, probably blue to match my hair.
Probably a long chain.
Or the
A
Arnett's.
chain for sure.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I had a wallet chain.
Yeah.
Probably reeked of cigarette smoke. I was cool, man. I was like 16.
You were
17.
happening.
I was 17.
You're like Guy Fieri.
And I remember, I think your brother John answered the door. And I'm all, hey, I'm here to pick up Chrissy. And I said it was earlier. Remember when in Uncle Buck, when Macaulay Culkin, he's all, I'm your Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I'm all, yeah, can you go get her? And he was like, oh my gosh. Pretty conservative family here. And I see Jackie, your dad peeks around the corner, and Dad Lux can be intimidating,
Yeah.
kind of stoic until you're in. And but it's a tough read. And I'm all,
Sir?
and I see you, I think you were like up to his waist or something. And he was just like, and just went back to his seat. That was my first interaction. Good start. So anyway,
Come up looking like a Smurf.
They
You got-
let their daughter out of the house with me, which was a lot of trust. Worked out for a while.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when my sister got back from that day.
Oh,
Because the only thing I remember was your blue hair. I
Yes.
don't remember like any conversations after that. Obviously, they were probably in confidence with my parents and my sister, but
well, like Lee.
I
So
mean-
the first time I went to Lee's house, and then we'll dive back in. This is funny though. The first time I went to Lee's house, who's a great buddy of mine, same thing. He got transferred. He transferred to my school, Santa Margarita Catholic High School, and I went over there to pick him up for our first time hanging out. His dad was a fire captain in Hawthorne at the time. Well, Lee's like, they're all, who is this guy? We want to meet him. Like, he's driving. Like, where are you guys going? I go over there to pick him up, and same thing. I pull up, probably same outfit. maybe a beanie on too. Just looking, what was I thinking? And then I roll up there, and Lee's mom answers the door, and they knew that my dad was a sheriff and a DA investigator. They're all, yeah, he's got to be a good kid. He comes from a good family, plays ball, plays baseball. I rolled up there, and I was like, hey, yeah, my name's Jim. I'm here to pick up Lee. Hi. And they were like, oh, great. And then Lee will never forget. He's like, dude, you were like, well, you know, and you were like very well spoken and super nice. And they were like, why do you look like a gang member?
Caught them off guard. They weren't expecting that to come out.
Everyone has to express their style, right? Growing up.
I
So
mean,
some are better than others.
It was a style. It was definitely a style.
But anyway, okay. So let's fast forward to, I remember, you know, Chrissy and I are living in San Clemente, and we get word that you're moving back to California. So you lived in California for a while. You lived in the Bay Area for a minute. You guys moved around a little bit. When I met you guys, it was in high school. You guys were in Coto in Santa Margarita. And then you were going to school, doing your thing, and then you were coming out here. And we were stoked, you know, and you were coming out here for a change of life and to pursue a career. And you had been working as an EMT in Ohio, right? You want to take it from there and kind of talk about that and how you made the decision to come back across the country and start your life, really?
Yeah, it was a transition, to say the least. I mean, I basically uprooted my entire life and drove out here from Ohio with my mom in the Ford Escape, the little Ford Escape.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right.
I just loaded up the
packed
car, and my mom is such a, God bless her soul. She's like, yeah, let's just go. And I'm like, all right. But yeah, at the time I was living in Findlay, Ohio, which is a small town in Ohio. I graduated University of Findlay, criminal justice major. And so I was working as an EMT, making okay money for living in Ohio. You know, life was good. I had a boyfriend that I was with for 6 years, you know, which is quite a long time, even when you're that
That's like
young.
a whole lifetime back then.
Yeah. And, you know, and I thought that was my life. You know, I thought that we would end up together. I would just be an EMT or maybe go on to something else. I don't know. But I always wanted to move back to California. Living out here when I was a kid, I just had such fond memories, especially of Orange County and the friends that we had here. And I just always wanted to move back here. But he was, you know, not having that. His family is from Ohio, and, you know, he was rooted there. And so that wasn't an option. So I thought, you know, I don't want to move back out there to California. I'm okay living here, and I'm okay being an EMT, and this is fine. You know, this is fine. And but then there was these thoughts of like, oh, I just really want to be in law enforcement or criminal justice, you know, that field. And being an EMT just didn't feel like enough at the time, even though it was fun. It just wasn't enough. I wanted more. And honestly, it was just, I woke up one day and I just looked at him and I said, I'm going to move out to California and I'm going to be a police officer. And he said, okay.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I remember 2 weeks later, I drove out here with my mom. I didn't have a job.
Wow.
And luckily, my sister and Jim took me in and were gracious enough to let me stay with them until I got on my feet. And, you know, life just kind of went from there. I worked as an EMT out here for a little bit. Well, for a few years, actually. For a few years for Medics Ambulance Service.
Yeah.
And, you know, had such a good time doing that. But it just didn't, the money wasn't there, you know, and living out here in beautiful South Orange County, it's not enough.
Sure.
And so.
No, and that gig's like a stepping stone towards either fire, police. It seems like a lot of EMTs they're putting in the time, vastly underpaid, a lot of hours.
Right.
But you almost have to do it. It seems like
a rite of
you need
passage.
the experience, right? Like,
I agree. Anyone that I talk to that says they want to go into law enforcement or any sort of first responder career, I always tell them, go be an EMT or a dispatcher or something, because the knowledge you gain of just operating under stress, getting your words out over a radio when you're like, you know,
Sure.
when you're stressed, you know, and
When your
stress
blood
doesn't never
pressure's through
goes
the roof,
away.
yeah.
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 Was huge. Even just down to map reading and navigating your way to a call. You know, it's so important and all under stress.
I would assume that kind of gets you involved with more acclimated to working with all departments too, because you
Yes.
go to a call and typically it's not just fire. A lot of times there's
Yeah.
police are there as
Multiple
well.
agencies, yeah.
You see how it all works
Sure.
together.
Even social work, you know.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, luckily I was able to connect with firefighters and deputies and all kinds of people, nurses too, and doctors and things like that, that you just meet and build relationships with along the way. It was a huge stepping stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I remember you working as an EMT, and you started training specifically to, I remember like you were doing like for the physical agility. And I was kind of remarking about it earlier. Ever since I knew you as a little bit older, not when I first met you and shocking you with my hair color, but you were never one to shy away from challenges, opportunities. We were talking about it earlier too, that there were certain times that people wanted to show you how to do something that you might have been struggling with, and you really wanted to do it on your own and figure it out. And you always seemed pretty resilient in that nature. And I thought to myself, getting to know you in that sense, and I know a lot of other people had the same sentiments, was that you might be right for that kind of work, and not everyone is. I mean, you don't have to have someone in your family or be a law enforcement officer or anything in a high stress public safety position to know that takes some sort of mental toughness. It's not about physical toughness. It's not, I mean, hey, that helps in certain situations, I'm sure, in some encounters, but your mental toughness and your emotional stability has to be rock solid. Did you know that about yourself? Did you say, hey, I can do this? Like, I have the wherewithal to pursue this and succeed. Did you have any questions about that ever?
You know, yes. I mean, still to this day,
Sure.
I'm my own worst critic. I think that,
We tend to do that.
yeah. But I think also it pushes me to do more and be better. You know, when I tell myself, "Oh, this is going to be really hard," or "Gosh, I don't know if I can do this." I mean, even in the academy, I think every day I showed up doubting myself, thinking that I wasn't going to make it to the next day.
Yeah.
Which is a part of the design stress there.
Sure.
Well, Orange County Sheriff's Academy is known as being like the benchmark, right, for stress academy.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people
really?
from all over send their people there, right?
Yeah.
Because they know it's going to be legit preparation.
Yeah, LA agencies will send their recruits to the Sheriff's Department Academy, the Orange County Sheriff's Academy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's designed to make you feel like, oof, I don't know if I can. This is
you're
hard.
tested. It tests you.
You're
right.
pushed. You're
Well,
tested.
they want you to pass. They want you to succeed, but they also don't want people moving on that shouldn't be there. I mean,
Yeah, and
that's
it's
their
about
job.
It's about enduring.
Yeah.
The whole way, mentally, physically. It is about just enduring. You
Being
don't have to be-
uncomfortable.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
being the best doesn't matter, even though they tell you it matters. But
They want
really,
the competitive nature.
yes, yeah, they make you feel like you're the worst. You're the slowest. You can't memorize anything. You know, you're this and that. And you believe it. You know, you hear something
You're being
enough
gaslighted.
times,
Right.
you go home, and I just remember, I remember specifically one day I came home from the academy, and this was when I was in the academy already for a couple months, and my body was beat up. I was tired. I was hungry. I was just exhausted, and I was rolling out on one of those foam rollers. And I was crying, and my sister came up to me, and she just saw like tears on the foam roller, and I'm just like, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
And she was a huge support system throughout, and I had
Oh, yeah.
a couple people that really were just, I mean, unbelievable support systems for me. I don't think I would have made it without them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was as simple as, okay, well, what do you need right now? I said, I need to eat. And I need to do laundry, and I need to pick up my dry cleaning. Okay, I'll handle that. You know,
Yeah.
I'll handle it. And then it's just like, oh, okay, I can do this now.
Right.
You know, so
That's awesome.
the academy, it's the people that support you throughout that really make you able to complete something like that.
That makes me feel a little bit better about, who's out there as a part of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, because you've been battle tested, and they're doing that purposely to make sure that everyone that's out there and representing them has that character, can do that. Wow, I like that. I know it was at your expense, but that's also where you learn to grow, is in times like that when you are.
Well, if you don't believe in yourself, who else is, right?
Exactly.
It's to probably get you to overcome that. It seems like military. They got to break you down a little bit and build you back up and get you to believe in yourself and work together, problem solve together. You're only as strong as your weakest link.
No, it's true.
Someone's falling behind, go back and get them.
And that's exactly how it was designed, to break you down, build you up, but also the class has to come together and work together. And you don't know it. I mean, they don't tell you
don't
obviously
realize it.
what they're trying to change you or mold you into.
We're going to be really mean to you for 6 months.
Just hold on. Yeah.
But hang in there.
Yeah.
We'll give you a big hug at the end.
What you need to do.
Everyone gets a trophy at the end.
Everyone gets a happy face sticker. And it can't be like that.
Love it.
No, but it does. I mean, and the people that just can't, they either quit or they get fired and move on to different things. But the people that stick around and endure it, your class comes together and you start working together and you start realizing that, oh, wow, things are getting not necessarily easier, but better.
You can see a little light at the end of the tunnel.
See the light at the tunnel. And the physical part is tough. It's always going to be tough. You're always going to be stressed.
Getting a little swagger.
But but you also learn to so before I went into the academy, I never had a people yell in my face and blade hand you, speaking at you so loudly and saying all these things. And so at first you're just,
it's not normal. You're like, whoa, yeah.
Right. But I didn't grow up in a family that was like that,
No.
And, so once you kind of get past all that, you get used to it, and then you're able to perform under stress, and you just become used to that, which prepares you for people yelling at you in the street, people calling you names, people, just testing your patience and things like that. And
better you're rattled there than when you're actually out on the street.
Well, you got to train.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a martial art or anything else. You got to train so your reactions are appropriate. You're not really thinking about it, because we all know that, especially me, the people that know me, when I have time to think, I get in trouble. So.
Yeah.
Well, you had a setback in the academy too, right? That you had an injury. You didn't.
No. So luckily I wasn't injured. Luckily I was physically. That's what got me through the academy. I felt physically prepared. But it was the memorizing, it was the tests.
Oh.
And I had failed 2 tests in a row. And so I was what they call recycled. So
that's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was week 9 of the academy and I failed. So when you take a test, they test you on, all sorts of different topics. And I had failed this test, and you have the ability to retake the test. If you fail it again, you're out.
Yeah.
So, and then it's up to your department whether or not they want to put you back into the academy or just fire you altogether.
Wow.
So when I failed that test, I was told at the time that I'm done.
Wow.
Pack up your things, pack up your locker, and you're done. And so in that moment, I thought, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because this was it for me. I didn't have any other plans to.
No, I remember you were all in on this for sure.
I had no other backup plan. And so I had I was walking out with all my bags in my uniform, and I had a sergeant come out after me in the parking lot, and he said, we really want you back. And at the time, I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand what any of this
is this a game
means.
or like what's?
I in my mind, I'm fired and I need to look for a job now.
Right, right.
And he said, no, I need you to go speak to this sergeant at the professional standards building, and she'll talk to you from there. That's really like the only orders I got.
Okay.
And he said, but ultimately, we really want you back. We think you're a good recruit. You just failed a couple tests, but it's nothing that you can't fix.
Gotcha.
It's not like I quit or I wasn't able to meet the physical requirements or anything like that. I just had failed some tests.
Right.
So I went and saw this and met the sergeant and walked in her office, and she told me to sit down, and she said, I just got off the phone with Sergeant so-and-so, and, you know, we got some pretty good words about you in the academy, and yeah, we want to put you in the next class. And I just remembered, I looked at her and I said, I didn't even think that was an option. I came in here not knowing why I'm here, and I thought I'd have to turn in all my stuff to you. I didn't even know it was an option to go to the next class.
Wow.
And she said, yeah, so it actually starts in a week. So we're just going to have you work here in the building for a little bit, and then you'll start in a week. Is that okay, or do you need more time to like kind of rest? Because your body's just thrashed,
totally,
right?
Yeah.
And I said, no, put me in the next class. Like, get me back.
No,
in.
you want to keep that momentum?
No, I don't. Yeah, and I don't. If that's an option, I want to get back in.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait. So yeah, I was there for a week. I just kind of kept to myself. I filed some reports, and I started all back over in 1 week.
Wow.
And that was, and then I graduated with that class.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then for those of you out there that don't know, so in the Orange County Sheriff's Department, you got to go do your jail time, right?
Oh, that's right.
That's a sheriff thing.
It is.
It's a sheriff thing specifically. And my dad, who I was going to follow into the same business, you know, I was either going to be playing short, hitting third for the Angels, or be a cop. And some of you out there might know that I'm colorblind, so that wasn't going to be in my cards. Now I heard that doesn't even matter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it's a disability. They consider it. So someone probably sued at some point, and attorneys got involved, and so I was told that wouldn't be a problem now. But then I went to mix paint. I was the paint manager, colorblind paint manager for a few years. Awesome.
Best of the best.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So, let me give you the years that I was there in case your paint colors look bad. You can blame it on me for sure.
That's so on par for your personality, though. Like, what colorblind? I
didn't choose it.
Perfect for you.
I was told to be there, and I'd be like, well, I'm going to be the best damn paint manager ever. And I'm colorblind. So I still get by on those jokes, man. I mean,
no, they're great jokes. It's good.
So, okay. So let me ask you this. So now you graduate, you're working. You are now a cop, and you're in the jail. How has that experience working in the jail, and even now further into your career, working with people, and maybe not people that we necessarily want to associate with? These are people going through things. These are criminals. These are different levels of probably danger involved, different personalities. Some people are making bad choices, may not be bad people, you know, but how has that shaped your outlook on society in general? Has that changed? I'm sure it's changed in some way, but how has it changed working in there in that environment and now continuing your career as a sheriff?
Yeah, so when I started working, I was assigned to Central Women's Jail. And that experience was another, like, it was almost like the first day of the academy where you're just like,
I don't know if I can do this.
Whoa. Yeah, because again, I have never experienced that before. I don't know. I never ran around with criminals. I've never, I was kind of a knucklehead in high school, but not to that
Well,
extent.
now you're working with people that you didn't associate with. You don't know that life.
Murderers. Yeah, like all kinds of people, from people coming in from having drugs to people who've actually
some serious violent crimes. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it was such an eye-opening experience. And it was one of those things where you just have to, for lack of a better, like, fake it till you make it, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have this calm sense of confidence about you, because if you don't, I mean, they're like,
If you show
I
weakness,
mean,
yeah.
they know.
Yeah.
The inmates know that you're new. And
Well, a lot
they
of these people are sharp. I mean, these are some sharp people in there
very
that are going down.
very.
They're using their sharpness inappropriately, but these are not dumb folks. They can read you a mile away.
Yeah.
Well, and they've been in the jail. They have more experience in the jail than I do.
Yeah.
Now, how twisted is that?
That's crazy.
You know, so they know the schedule better than I do. They know what technically my job better than I do at the time. So, I mean, it was very intimidating. But you know, you have a training officer that takes you around and shows you certain things, and you kind of get used to the schedule of how things run and how, you know, just how to manage groups of people like that. Because again, it's like, if you show any sign of weakness, it's like they're like they smell blood in the water. It's like a limping gazelle in the Serengeti, right? Like they just know. And it took, I don't know, it probably took me about, I would say, a little less than a year to really feel not necessarily comfortable, because you're never really comfortable, but to get used to talking to criminals, and then kind of reaching out and start, hey, what's that tattoo mean? Or, hey, what kind of drugs do you do on the outs? You know, and they'll tell you, you know, because it's the nice thing about starting in the jails is that you get so much intel from these people that you probably wouldn't get out on the street, because out on the street, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to be honest with you about their drug addiction or their past criminal life. But the ones that are in jail, it's like the jig is up, you know. So they feel comfortable to, and they're almost proud of it. Some. So I learned a lot about drugs. I learned a lot about gangs, just how to talk to criminals, and also kind of how to talk to people, and that everyone is different, especially with the women in the jails. You know, they're far different than talking to the male inmates, especially as a female officer, deputy. So it was a huge learning experience, but I'm very grateful that I had that, because I think that going straight out to patrol, you know, you don't have that yet.
Sure.
You know, it's just a whole different aspect of law enforcement.
No, I always thought that was when, you know,
It makes sense. Yeah.
I was just talking to my dad about it the other day, and he was like, it's so funny. He was talking about having, like, first time out in patrol. He's like, I went out to patrol, and I was riding with this training officer. He's like, I didn't really care for. And he was treating me like I was a rookie. I'm not a rookie. I'd been in the jail. I'm not a brand new officer. But yeah, I'm new to patrol, but he treated me like, you know, I was inferior, or, you know, it was like a power trip. And then luckily 2 weeks later, he's riding with one of his favorite guys of all time. And he said it was great. It was good to be out there. But I think it's good that the sheriffs do that. You know, a lot of these PDs, you're thrown right out into the fire in situations that some people are never ready for those situations. I mean, you know, some people draw their gun and never have to use it. Some people aren't as fortunate, you know, and, but you hear all these stories, like at least having some interactions with that culture and speaking the language, hearing them, understanding where they're coming from, doesn't mean you're agreeing with their lifestyle, but understanding somebody, being on a level where you can make a connection, that's de-escalation and, you know, humanity still. Like, they still have a heartbeat.
Well, even the street talk component of it, and she now, you know, if you're in an interaction or you're in a position where maybe you hear something that you heard in the jail, and now you already know what they're talking about, what they're referring to.
Yeah.
You know, when when I passed all the tests to become a financial advisor, I didn't know anything.
Totally.
I knew how to. I knew a compliance side of this
Conceptually.
business. I knew, yeah, but I didn't know anything until you actually get out there and cut your teeth.
Yeah.
Totally.
And you get rattled by clients that say no, or they challenge you. I mean, not to that extent, but that's how you learn. You learn
Yeah.
while you're in the seat, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, but I think the jail would be a perfect setting. Not only are you not alone, right? You have plenty of colleagues with you and other deputies, but you're right in the thick of that challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you develop it's almost like a sense of style of how you work. So working in the jails, everything was always, the women's jail was run very strict. I mean, down to if they came out of their housing location without a sock on, we're just harping at them and making a huge deal out of really nothing. But it was more to just get them to like, whoa, this deputy's crazy.
Discipline,
dude.
yeah.
And it gave us because sometimes on shift there's only 3 of us and there's 300 of them. We're not interacting with 300 at one time, but you have to be that scary like presence to where, and you have to learn that. And some people learn different ways to do that. Some people will yell. Some people will make them work, do like 4 hours of cleaning or whatever.
Yeah.
Some people, just have different tactics of
Sure.
getting the message across. And I learned that for me at the beginning, I would always yell and raise my voice and just kind of, but that wasn't necessarily my personality.
Yeah, it wasn't you, right?
Yeah, so I developed more of a kind of that, like it's almost, what's that called? Like confidence is silent and insecurity is loud. Something. There's some saying that goes like that.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
And so I would be that weird, quiet deputy that didn't say a whole lot, but then would just explode over the dumbest things. Like I said, like not coming out of their housing location without a sock or something, or they have like a jail-made hair tie or something. I would lose my mind over that, but then if there was a fight or if I found drugs, I would be awkwardly quiet. And it almost, I felt like a lot of times they just didn't know what to expect out of me.
You're unpredictable.
Did you feel like you were parenting sometimes?
Yes.
You know how parents will do, like, if you're not talking to me at all, that's really bad.
Uh-huh.
Like, I remember those, I'm all, are you going to say anything? Because this is killing me. Like, yeah, you're an authoritarian. You're an authority. I mean,
and that makes sense because my dad is a wonderful man, but he's a man of few words. And so I would remember just being completely scared out of my mind when I knew I did something wrong and my dad would just be quiet. I'm
totally.
Like, okay.
This is so bad. This person doesn't even know what to say right now.
Yeah. And you just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
The unknown for them. So that's kind of how I played up my jail persona, I guess.
Now, do you carry that out into the field now?
No, I mean, I think...
So let's talk about what you're doing now. So you're working in the court.
I am. So
how does that dynamic work? Yeah.
So when I worked in the jails for only about 1.5 years. So I was lucky enough to be able to, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the jails.
Glad you had that experience. And
yes, but most deputies, I mean, they would have to stay in the jails for 5, 6, 7, 8 years before they could transfer out somewhere. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So luckily I came in at a time where I was able to transfer to Lamoureux Justice Center, a family law courthouse. So I was actually only 6 months into I was still on probation when I put my interest memo in, which is kind of a no-no. I mean, when you're on probation, you stick to yourself.
Keep your head down,
keep your head down, yes sir, no sir.
Yeah.
And so it was a little unheard of to do that. But I just, you got to shoot to score. And I figured,
better to get your hand slapped, I guess, and be like, eh.
Yeah, and I mean, I got a little pushback, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't bad.
Well, who's hating you for really like, well, this girl's wanting to, you know, she's being proactive. Shame on her. No way. I mean,
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I think that a lot of times, I don't know about, you know, other careers, but law enforcement, we have a tendency to kind of eat our own a little bit, which is unfortunate. But I think, and I don't know if it comes from a place of like, well, I had to be in the jails for 5 years. What makes you think you can leave after this amount of time? So
there's maybe some tradition to process there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, good for you. You're putting yourself out there. Who knows if you'll get it, but whatever. Good luck.
Yeah. But you did.
So I got out and started as a bailiff, and I was assigned to a courtroom that dealt with juvenile delinquency, which again was a whole other, I mean, it's just every turn of my career. I feel like you just learn so many different aspects, and you're just shocked in every which way. Learning about all these kids and what they're getting involved in, and some of them lived right down the street from us, you know, go to the same grocery stores, go to the same, and they're doing these horrific things, and you're listening to testimony, and you're listening to witnesses and all these people, and it was a huge learning experience. But again, I got to talk to juvenile criminals.
Yeah.
And learning how they came up in gangs and how they got associated, and you know, maybe their parents were involved in the life, or maybe not. You know, some kids grew up here in Orange County, had a seemingly wonderful life, went to high school, went to college, but then just met the wrong person or turned down a wrong road. And
I think we've all had moments where you could see it going, that could have gone a different way, and that would have totally changed my life. You know, like little moments, like in high school or after, you know, like
good and
so
bad.
Totally. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've seen kids with very strict parents that will come into court and they look all put together, but their kid is just can't, I don't want to say can't be saved, but
A lot of work to do.
It's seemingly hopeless, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of parents just don't know what to do. You know, they're provided all these services and given all this opportunity to turn it around, and they just, I don't know, they just can't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And drugs are a big part of it, you know. Yeah. It's hard to, I'm a huge coffee drinker. If you told me that I can't drink coffee anymore, whoa.
Totally.
Watch out.
I couldn't imagine the magnitude of having to give up drugs like that, that
totally.
just change your total composition of your body, you know. So, I mean, a part of me feels for it, but another part of me is like, you gotta.
Well, yeah, you kind of wish them the best at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll move on to talking about mentorship briefly as we start to wrap up. Talk about self-care real quick. We talk about that all the time, like trying to be the best version of yourself, and it's easier said than done, and it's a daily journey, you know. And something that you do, like our job is not, there's some heavy moments, but it's not a lot of heavy lifting like you might have to deal with emotionally. We go through things, we don't get emotional about the solutions that we recommend, and we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we take our work very seriously. We do important work. We're helping clients pull levers in huge life moments. And we're there. We play psychologist quite a bit, without being one, right? We put that hat on sometimes, but a lot of the times we're going through maybe a death in the family, or a loss of a spouse, or a job, or something going on like that that's heavy, and we talk about, hey, you got to take care of yourself. You got to be the best version of you so you can be the best for that person. How do you unpack that, taking care of yourself, and maybe trying to leave as much of that and not bring it into your home, your personal life? I'm sure it's something that you really have to stay on top of, and I'm sure they really advocate for that in the department. Eating right, blowing off some steam, working out. Is that something that they they can, offer assistance with or ideas to take care of yourself? And
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure everyone deals with it a little differently.
Yeah, and in law enforcement or a firefighter career, anything of high stress like that, it's you become numb to a lot of wild events, to the point, at least for me, where if I saw or heard something, I'm more like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like before that would have upset me. I would have thought about it. I would have had to talk about it. I would have had to dissect it. And now I feel like the department does offer, peer support. They offer, they say lifetime fitness, things like that. Do people take advantage of it all the time? No, because I think that there's this, oh, I don't need help. I don't need the help, because that's maybe comes off weak, but
weakness,
it's actually the reverse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For me personally, I lean heavily into physical fitness. That's my outlet. I also started a few years back into martial arts, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and that's helped in my career for obvious reasons. It's helped de-escalate certain situations, because I know, like, okay, if this goes to the ground, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
If this doesn't go to the ground, I'm going to do this. So it's provided me a lot of confidence in that area, which, whereas before in my mind, I wouldn't be scared to fight, but I think there's a healthy sense of, oh, I hope this doesn't turn into
Totally.
a fight. Oh,
Right.
that would be horrible.
You wouldn't have as much control or confidence going into
Right.
it.
It's interesting. Like when you get more trained, you become more of a pacifist because you're more confident
Exactly.
in finding another way to avoid those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I lean heavily into fitness, to jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and then also therapy. I mean,
use your resources, right?
I speak to a therapist, and that's for the last. I'd
Amazing.
say for the last solid 4 years of my life, I've dedicated, my time to, and even also learning how to effectively communicate with loved ones was a struggle for me before, because you're just walking around in such a hardened, harsh atmosphere on the job, and it's that, and still to this day is difficult for me to take the hat off of a deputy and someone who's in control, and this is how we're doing things. Why are you doing this? To, oh, it's okay. It's just my friend saying those things. It's not serious, you know. So it's a work in progress. But I think therapy, the gym, are all outlets for me.
Awesome. I think communication is a huge one, especially when you bring it into the whatever's in the workplace. You bring it home. You got to be careful, because we also create these expectations for ourselves that, oh, they don't want to hear about it, or they're not interested, or we create these this narrative in our mind where it's almost like we're talking ourselves into not communicating and keeping that line of communication open, which is the healthy thing to do. And so we end up stuffing it, right, more than we probably should. And then when you stuff it and stuff it and stuff it, let's say a couple weeks, a couple months goes by, and you haven't really had a chance to speak openly about what's going on professionally, then here we go. Here comes a blow up.
Yeah.
Here comes,
Totally.
here comes, So
that's exactly
I'm happy to hear that you're speaking with a therapist, and you have your own outlets, whether it's exercise or physical activity, because that's we talk about it a lot. Like what Jim was talking about was for our clients to get the best of us, we need to be taking care of ourselves too. And here at Harbor Rock, when we open the doors, we want balance. We want fulfillment in all aspects of our lives. We're not sitting here, constantly hunting for new clients, and we're not trying to build the tallest building in town. We don't want that professional lifestyle anymore. We want to be smaller. We want to do more effective, meaningful work.
Yeah.
So
more intentional, more methodical.
balance, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool.
So let's wrap up with mentorship. So you have a pretty special relationship with my dad.
Yes.
My dad, very fond of you, very proud of you. And I love that you guys still have this connection. And over the years, I was so happy to hear that you'd still visit for lunch, and Dad cherishes all that, a big part of his life. Speak to me to the importance of that relationship and another gentleman who Dad worked with that became a big part of your life too. How did that provide you some confidence and security, like a nice warm hug, as you were going through that battle and that journey?
Oh my gosh. It was, I mean, where do I even begin? Your dad provided me such a huge sense of support. And it wasn't I had like my sister, and I had another dear friend of mine that would go pick up my dry cleaning,
Sure.
and do this and that, the physical stuff. And then there was Mr. Luster that mentally just kept me in it. When I failed those tests, I remembered thinking, I'm going to have to tell Mr. Luster this. And I was more nervous to do that than tell my parents, just because he has always had so much faith in me, and he's given, he used to write me cards in the academy, and I used to post them up in my locker, just like, you got this, as simple as that. And it's stuff like that just literally just carried me through my time in the academy, and then even the hiring process too. So his mentorship for me coming up, and still to this day, I've gone through things in my career. I was sued by an inmate 6 months in, and he was able to, share his stories of his time on patrol.
Dad's got a couple stories.
And and it gives you this sense of okay, someone else has been through this.
Yeah.
We're here together, we're talking about it. It's like another form of therapy for me. But he's just a huge cheerleader for me. He's always just had this level of support. But Mr. Luster's no joke. He's not, and that's another part of him. He's not blindly telling me things just to tell me things.
Yeah.
He's always been so factual and so on point with what he tells me, his experiences, how it's affected him. Maybe try this. Why don't you do that? Which is huge. And to this day, I talk about certain things that happen at the courthouse. We deal with criminals and taking people to jail and this and that. And, he'll tell me about his experiences too. So it's been such a wonderful part of my life to have someone like that, where I'll go and see Mr. Luster, and it'll be 4 hours, and it feels like 20 minutes of just talking. And I feel like when I leave his house, I just feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And it's just talking about things. It's working through things. It's having that supportive person in your life that no matter what you do, no matter what happens, he's always going to be there.
Right.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ruben, you've had a couple people in your life that are special, and
Sure.
one that I can think of in particular that you really sustain a relationship with.
Yeah.
How about the importance of, it's great to have someone take interest in you and mentor you and start that process, but if it's not a two-way street and you're not willing to do the work,
well, I think even
that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a mentor on the personal side. That's really, of the last 4 years since I've known him, has really changed things for me personally, and has allowed me to gain, for lack of a better term, control of my life again. But on a professional side, or on the professional side, where Jimmy and I gained a lot of momentum and grew as a partnership, was at our former employer. When people caught wind of that we were having some success, we were asked to mentor, or teams from all over Southern California would come in and pick our brains on our process and what we were doing. And it actually helps us. We enjoy mentoring because it keeps us sharp.
Yeah.
So as much as Mr. Lester is helping, I'm sure he got a lot out of it as well, as far as going through and reliving some of those moments. And
Yes.
it probably was therapeutic for him as well. And I would guess that he gets that same enlightenment, when you guys are done with your meetings as well.
Yeah, like Yoda and a young Jedi,
Well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's just whatever you say, it like makes sense. And I know you've been through it and you have the knowledge of, that stuff is priceless. You can't.
Totally. And I'm the one thing that I'd say I'm missing here at Harbor Rock is the mentorship. Not necessarily from our standpoint, because we've been able to partner with a few industry professionals that have really given us some excellent advice and guidance. But for us to mentor someone else, a junior or another advisor, where we had the opportunity a lot over at our other firm. So we're open to that, and we'll see if we get the opportunity.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to pass that mentorship along, or would you be interested in?
Oh, I would absolutely.
Or have you worked with anyone new that you're like, I could really help them out? Like,
yeah. So starting out in the jail, or not starting out, but when new deputies would start out in the jails, and I had some time on being like 8 months, right? Not a whole lot, but I've been
I'm an old salty vet.
Yeah, exactly. I would do my best to go up to them, because it's hard when you're fresh out of the academy, you have a TO, you're just locked onto that training officer and talking to other deputies. It's very like, stay in your lane, don't look at anyone else, don't talk to anyone else. So I would try to do my best to just come up to them and say, hey, outside of this, in the locker room, if you need to ask me any questions,
That's cool.
you don't want to ask the training officer because maybe you've already asked 10
totally.
times, come and talk to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or, hey, here's my notes on this and that. That's really helped me. I keep it in my pocket. It's just, hey, here's some extra pens, things like that, just to make them feel like, oh, okay, I have an ally in here. Not that your partners aren't your allies, but when you're new, you just feel like you have to perform at the highest level all the time, and you're under a microscope, and it's a whole different level of stress.
And having mentored people, other financial advisors and teams in the past, it's not something that, because you're sitting on, let's say, some knowledge or some insight, some wisdom, it's not that you're out on the street corner offering it and preaching it.
Totally.
You got to wait for it to happen, and it will happen naturally. But it also has to be the right person, because you don't want to spin your wheels and just waste time either, right? You have to have someone that's receptive to it and open to learning.
Yeah, it's definitely a 50-50 relationship.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever consider fire?
No, I never did. My boyfriend
I don't remember you ever mentioning that while I was living with you, knew you, and you were going through that process. You were on police.
I had always, that was my end game, was law enforcement. When I was in college, I had done 2 internships. One was at a police department, one was at, oddly enough, a courthouse, because I wasn't sure. I kind of knew, but I thought, oh, let's see if maybe I want to go into the court side of it, or the maybe not necessarily want to be an attorney, but that aspect of criminal justice.
Yeah, right.
And I instantly knew, once I did my internship at the police station in Lima, California, or I'm sorry, Lima, Ohio, I was like, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
I just knew.
How cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So before we wrap today, you are also involved with I don't know the official name, but the animal shelter in Mission Viejo that a lot of people know. It's over by Depot, right? In Saddleback down there?
Yep.
In the little bowl.
Yep.
I remember I played baseball at Saddleback, and we would hear the animals going nuts behind us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it kind of backs up. Their property backs up.
Oh, just on the other side of Saddleback.
Yeah, past
College?
center field.
Okay, I got you.
You're not necessarily hitting a dead central bomb into the animal shelter, but it's close. We would hear them at all hours because we'd go out for runs up in the hills there. And just, bro, are those dogs okay? You know, I guess if we still hear them, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway,
Nice.
you're doing some work and spending some time over there, and I think this is someone we might want to get involved with at some level, and see what we can do to be a part of them too. But tell us a little bit about that, just briefly, what you're doing over there.
Yeah, so I volunteer once a week over there. I walk the dogs. So I started there, I want to say a couple of years ago now. It's been, time flies, it's crazy. I wanted to, so I have been a huge animal lover my whole life. I mean, I rode horses when I was younger. I had dogs, I had this and that. And now where I live isn't really conducive to having a dog. I don't have a backyard, you know, things and that. I'm gone all the time. But I wanted, I don't know, I just wanted a way to be able to nuzzle up to some dogs and walk, do whatever. And I thought about walking in my neighborhood, just having a side gig, but I don't want to make money doing it. And I just want to have the flexibility. So anyway, so I reached out to one of the volunteer managers at the Mission Viejo shelter off Hillcrest by Depot.
Yeah, Hillcrest, that's right.
Yeah. And so I applied and started rolling with that. And I go there once a week, take the dogs out one at a time. And I'm there for only a couple hours. And they've been so wonderful to me. You know, they are very flexible with my schedule, with work, and if I have training or anything like that. And they're such wonderful people over there. And the shelter in general is an amazing place. I know you're saying like the dogs go crazy. So
yeah.
So yeah, the kennels are obviously right next to each other.
Yeah.
And anytime they see someone walking like down the hallway or whatever of the dogs, they all just start barking. When one dog barks, they all just start
there
barking.
It goes. Yeah.
So that's why, they all just kind of go. Or when you take another dog out and they walk past,
they're jealous.
Dog, they're like, whoa, yeah.
Well, we're starting to, we're wanting to get involved with other organizations in the community, and animals are near and dear to both of our hearts. I have 2 dogs. You have a pup. So, yeah, we'd like to get involved. How do other people reach out to or connect with the shelter up there in Mission Viejo?
Yeah. So the best way is to go on their website, and they have a specific link to donate your time or to donate money.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have also other links. You can see pictures of the dogs. There's a little bio on there. Same thing with the cats. There's guinea pigs there too, if you just want a smaller little furry friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a ton of other services too of how to get involved. If you just want to hang out with the cats for a couple hours a week, or you want to be a dog walker, or if you want to clean the kennels or do anything. There's a variety of...
Ruben wants to clean the kennels.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Perfect.
Whatever.
Trying to teach my daughters how to clean up the poop in the backyard.
Yeah, we're down.
Yeah.
We're down.
Yeah, it's a wonderful organization there.
Well, cool. Well, we look forward to an intro maybe, and who knows, maybe a furry friend will find their way back into
you could bring them in the studio. That'd be
our
awesome.
office, and you could come back too, and we could dive into that too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Well, again, super proud of you, girl.
Thank you.
You're all grown up. You're doing great.
Here we are, man.
Yeah.
Didn't think it would be any other way, but I'm really happy for you,
Thank you.
and super proud
And
of you.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, if you're living your life and you have your health, you're the wealthiest person in the world. See you next time in the Digital Barbershop.